Excellent. So, I am Samuel Pepys, and I am quite an important person in the year 1666. The important thing is that I keep a diary. And on the morning of February the 2nd, it was a Sunday, I was woken and looked out of the window, and there was the beginnings of a fire, which I did not think was serious, but I soon changed my mind. As the great wind, for it had been a hot summer, the great wind blew, and with our wooden framed houses and down by I was in charge of warehouses full of oil and tar, which smelt dreadfully as it burned. And it burned so quickly that there was no stopping this fire. And so what I did later, of course, was to continue to write my diary, so I may look in my diary and see what I said. And as for the sight, I described in my diary this great arc of flame, over a mile long, as the fire raged through the narrow streets, and the smells were appalling. The smoke was so acrid and strong and made up of so many different things, burning wood and burning oil and burning candles, burning food, and I had to write down as much as I could. There was St. Paul's upon the hill, and I wondered if the fire would reach it, and sure enough it did. I watched as the flames broke through the roof. Of course, St. Paul's was built of stone, so that is something to think about, perhaps for after the fire. Should we build our houses of wood and wattle and daub and straw and so on? Another thing that I was so aware of was that people were thronged down to the river to escape the fire. They knew there was no escape. There was not enough water with buckets and a few squirters. We had nothing to put out this dreadful fire. So I rode to the king. I went on my little lighter, my little boat, up to Whitehall, and he ordered me, he gave me the order to blow up houses, to try and create a gap, so that the fire would not be able to jump from one street to another. But that was no good. I'm afraid it was too late. But then, as I saw so many of my neighbours and townspeople escape with their belongings, I thought I had best return to my house. What have I got that is valuable? I must rescue my wine. I must rescue my cheeses from Italy, Parmesan cheeses, great big round cheeses, very valuable. What about my bags of gold, for I stored them at home? Perhaps you do not store your wealth at home, but I did. I was not going to bury it in the ground, for that was my solution. I went into my garden with my friend Sir William Penn, and we dug a great hole, and we placed in it our wine and our cheeses, and our important papers, and we covered it up, and we hoped that they would be safe until after the fire. And so the gold I then supervised. It was taken down to the river, and a friend of mine stored it well away from the house, safely in their cellar, and guarded it, for there was many gold sovereigns that belonged to me. So there we are. Oh, where are you from? The town of Sheffield. Well, you've never had a fire. No, nothing. But what happened? What would happen if you did have such a fire? Have you thought about what you would rescue and where you would hide it? You know where you live. Are there places you could hide your valuables? I wonder. You must think about that a great deal. Now, so in a way, it is your hidden treasure. Oh, I can still remember the wind and the sparks which burnt as they hit your face. They did not kill you, of course, because they were carried on the wind, and we were safe outside. But well, I think I've said enough. You have plenty to think about, and the smells, the sounds, the sights, hidden treasure, your treasures. What would it be? The great fire of Sheffield. Well, there we are. I hope that has given you plenty to think about.